Wang Jung threw out a golden wheel from his left arm, heading towards Zhou Yu. The other golden wheel was surprisingly aimed towards Dendi. This was because Achilles was in need of assistance, as he was faced with a double blow from Dendi and the dragon scale. Achilles' gravitational abilities were forced to control two mecha at the same time, but he was under great pressure. The dragon scale was going all out by entangling itself with Achilles. The two-pronged attack was gradually overwhelming him. Achilles was up for even more trouble considering that his ability X was being sustained consistently. Furthermore, due to the rapid movement of the enemies, Snowly, who was supposed to take cover for Achilles, did not dare to attack hastily. And at this moment, there was an incoming golden wheel flying towards Dendi. What was this for? If you don't intend to kill him, he will not die. Dendi was ecstatic. The opportunity had come for him and he took the initiative to go towards the golden wheel mech. Wang Jung was doomed this time, for he had no doubts over the ability of Zhou Yu's golden wheel Battle King. The two high-frequency golden wheels were like the Reaper's scythe that was aiming right at Wang Jung. The rotation speed for Wang Jung's golden wheels was a little slower, although the standard was indeed remarkable. His golden wheel had hit the opponent's right wheel with much accuracy and precision, but the opponent's left wheel was one with a strange arc that could possibly take him down in an instant. Who does he think he is? How could he be so arrogant? Long live the Federal Republic of Manalasuo. Take him down. The students from Manalasuo jumped up. In their perspective, Wang Jung was a little too full of himself, as though Manalasuo had no people that were capable of his match. Well, the Ares College was silent. They initially had an advantage, but Wang Jung was a little over the top. Yao Ailun and Chen Shu were at a loss for words. Well, Yao Ailun felt that his life would be shortened if he had to give a commentary for such a battle. Just moments ago he was stirring up his inner passion, and Wang Jung shut him off with a tight slap. As a professional commentator, it was a norm to face unexpected situations. But this time round, all Yao Ailun could do was to open his mouth and said, "FK." Right at this moment, something strange had occurred. The two golden wheels crisscrossed each other. Zhou Yu's golden wheel flew outwards, while Wang Jung's golden wheel suddenly accelerated while spinning internally, forming a diagonal trajectory. At this point, Zhou Yu's other golden wheel was just 5 meters away from Wang Jung. Rumble, Zhou Yu's other golden wheel was struck by Wang Jung's lone wheel, and Wang Jung had caught the golden wheel that was in close proximity at the same time. After getting the wheel, he threw them out directly, aiming towards Zhou Yu. Zhou Yu was stunned, his golden wheels had yet to return. And the mech instinctively activated its energy shield. At this moment, Wang Jung's other golden wheel had returned to his possession after being deflected by Dendi. Zing, zing zing zing, Zhou Yu's golden wheel Battle King was in the midst of activating his shield. He had barely managed to retrieve his wheels and yet to throw them out. And two golden wheels were already coming right at him one after another. It was two separate attacks. FK. All Zhou Yu could see in front of him was darkness. He did not want to activate his energy shield. In fact, he had wanted to leave this place, this college, and even this world altogether. From the beginning, Wang Jung did not treat him as an opponent. If one were to say that Olivius's Slayer was a stunner, then Wang Jung's Golden Wheel Battle King would make one feel completely hopeless. Zhang Shan pouted, such a young naive brat, playing around with the Golden Wheel Battle King in front of Wang Jung. I guess he really doesn't know what is the true meaning of death. After experiencing a short moment of breathlessness, Yao Ailun brought the crowd to the climax instantly. What a cool move by the Golden Wheel Battle King. Putting the victory aside, this was already a spectacular performance. But in reality, such an attack would affect the morale of the team. After witnessing all these, one would be affected on the individual level as well. Suddenly, Achilles ran away. His gravitational ability had turned into a repulsive force, bouncing him off quickly. After a bang was heard, the desolate steel monster started to roar. At the same time, whistling sounds could be heard. Roybat had intended to pull off some moves but he gave up. He didn't want to fight anymore, for he couldn't understand what was happening either. His mech shook violently, and at the same time the Death God's golden wheels had arced towards him, completely demonstrating the lethality of the Golden Wheel Battle King. Dendi had reacted. but the heavenly dragon spear's repulsive force had turned into a gravitational force that was pulling him away. He instantly picked up speed and forcefully widened the gap between the both of them. But the dragon spear forced its way in front of him. Achilles' mech was shuddering as it flew towards him. For someone to be skilled in gravitational and repulsive force fields, he was clearly the most annoying fellow to be dealt with. Rumble. Dendy's beam saber hacked down on the shield of the Heavenly King fighter, causing the mech to be knocked out. But after moving away from his original position, there were two huge golden wheels coming in his direction. Windflame heavenly wheels. Typically, the golden wheels followed an upwards trajectory path, but these two wheels were a little out of the ordinary. They were moving in a straight line close to the ground, and this was the fastest and most ruthless way to deal with one's opponents. For one must know that it was more difficult for the golden wheels to follow a straight trajectory path rather than one that was subjected to uncertainty. And now, the golden wheels were like the venom fangs of the Saruman snake, taking the opportunity to kill instantly. Rumble. Well, Dendy didn't want to hide anymore. Ace. All mecha eliminated. The Golden Wheel Battle King. The wheels were acting like children who had returned after obtaining good grades, and landed on the mech's arms while spinning. It was different from the Slayer, which gave off a cool vibe, but it had the unbeatable haughtiness that was fitting of a battle king. Saruman Snake Battle Team wins. This battle was a huge blow to Eagle Battle Team from the Federal Republic of Manalasuo, and this could be seen clearly from the expressions of their team members. They had their tactics, and had set their targets, but they were lacking just a little bit. And sometimes, this was actually a huge difference. The defeat was a harsh reality for Eagle Battle Team to accept, and they did not have the best of luck either. After the conclusion of the battle, the leaderboard ranking was updated. Asura Battle Team was still at the top, but after winning 2 battles in a row, Saruman Snake Battle Team had climbed up the ranks to 3rd place, chasing right behind Imperial Glory Battle Team. Eagle Battle Team's hopes were dashed even before they could show what they had got. This was a little difficult to swallow down for them. Dendy felt like he was powerless. His abilities were unquestionable, and his team was quite skilled as well. Being equipped with the ability to transfer within space, and the team's wind ability, it was truly one of its kind. But every single time he used his ability, he could not take down any of the opponents. Was Saruman Snake Battle Team really that formidable? Zhang Shan had obviously looked like a weakling, and the team's sniper Snowly had nothing to her name besides her ability X, but yet they could not be attacked. Let us have a short interview with our MVP, Wang Zheng, Shui Yu said. She was taken aback as well, for she was already in awe upon watching Olivius's performance with the Slayer. Little did she expect something even more terrifying than that coming right up. The Golden Wheel Battle King was like a crazy god. Wang Zheng, I think everyone here is curious about how an individual can train the mech to such levels of excellence. Could you provide us with some pointers? Shui Yu looked on curiously at Wang Zheng, the man whom she could not figure out what was on his mind. She could not pinpoint his scent he gave off, but it was peaceful, contrary to Olivius's fiery vibes, nor was it like Hakatelan who gave off the vibes of royalty. But from head to toe, he exuded confidence and passion. It was an indescribable feeling. Wang Zheng laughed. I guess practice makes perfect, just practice more will do. Shui Yu was at a loss for words. She had thought there would be some form of secrets to this, but, even if there was a special method, one would not divulge it easily. She could only end off by saying, perseverance is the best shortcut one can take, indeed. Thank you Wang Zheng, and congratulations to Saruman Snake Battle Team for having 2 consecutive wins, currently tied for first place together Asura Battle Team. It was only then that everyone started cheering. Everyone was whispering to one another, and it was without a doubt that they were all amazed by the spectacular performance earlier on. Notably, Wang Zheng and Olivius were the stars of the match. Regardless of their individual capabilities or battle team tactics, their performances were remarkable. As expected, the 4 masters of the solar system. HMMPH, that's nothing. They're an established federation for goodness sake. After several decades, it is normal for them to produce 4 capable masters. One can chase Asura Battle Team to the edge of a cliff, and the other can crush the Federal Republic of Manalasuo. Tisk tisk. Looks like this is the end for Manalasuo. I guess we can rename Eagle Battle Team to Little Chicks Battle Team. Eagle Battle Team is strong too, it's just a pity that the Golden Wheel Battle King was a little beyond the ordinary this round. The moment one performs poorly in a particular segment, it will affect the final outcome. It's still too early to determine who's the final winner at this point. There will definitely be a mainstay for each and every battle team. Everyone was engaged in their little conversations and debates. From the looks of it, based on the 2 rounds, individual capabilities played a crucial role. In the case of Dendi, who had relied on his battle team capabilities, it did not work out well for him. And what had seemed like a weakness for Saruman's Snake Battle Team, had turned out to be a game-changer this round. Well, Wang Zheng had really trusted Zhang Shan enough to put him in the lineup. He had put on a terrible performance in the previous match, and to think that Wang Zheng would let him take part in this round. And Zhang Shan had managed to prove his worth with his performance in this round. On the screen, there was a list of key points of the match. The movements of the Wind God was really shocking. And he even squatted down for a short while to ensure that his opponent had not noticed him. For a scout to be able to do this, it was already an amazing feat. Inevitably, everyone's focus was on Wang Zheng's Golden Wheel Battle King, regardless of whether they were at the match to watch the bustle or had hoped to learn some skills and tricks through observation. This included all the military schools who were watching the livestream of the match as well, as they watched on attentively. It was obvious that Wang Zheng was just being humble and kind with his words about practicing consistently. There were certainly some tricks and secrets to this. The trajectory path upon collision of the wheels, the maneuver of the mech, was beyond one's expectations. The slow-motion replay was even more astounding. Everyone was in awe. Not only did Wang Zheng's Golden Wheel Battle King control the trajectory path of the wheels with high precision, it was accurate in predicting collisions. Besides, while avoiding the golden wheels, he did not seem to have any signs of fear, and acted calmly. It was as though the wheels were not enemies, but one of its own. Who can cultivate such a state of mind? That avoidance was at close proximity. It would have turned into a huge mess if there was a little mistake in the movements. And when his back was facing the golden wheels, there were no signs of hesitation, and such confidence had the ability to crush the opponent. With regards to the amazement of the general public, Wang Zheng did not care much about it. It was necessary for the Golden Wheel Battle King to have an output environment, and the battle team had put on a splendid performance. As for the techniques, honestly speaking, it was only until the IG where Wang Zheng had gotten to know about the Golden Wheel Battle King. When one had entered a state of extreme fatigue, he would try to do some calculations and predictions as he came from a spatial physics background. But as the match progressed, his movements were based on his instinctive abilities. And towards the end it was a matter of his reflexes, also known as one's intuition. That battle was evidently a breakthrough for Wang Zheng, and the battles that followed were way easier to handle. Neither Zhou Yu nor Vincent had experienced such a predicament, hence their degree of mastery were limited as compared to Wang Zheng. Such a level of mastery could not be attained through working behind closed doors away from reality. Even if it were to happen a million times, it might not have possibly achieved the same results. The more one had seen it, the more terrifying it was. As a free fighter, Wang Zheng and Olivius had once again demonstrated to the masses what it takes to be an all-rounder. Similarly, all the more the other opponents had to be on their toes. Saruman's snake battle team was not a loach, but a genuine venomous snake. Once bitten, it would be fatal. The battle teams from the solar system were not a flash in a pan. When faced with the Asura battle team, Dynasty Battle Team had fought hard and managed to show their unique style of battle. And the Saruman Snake Battle Team had turned up a notch as they showed tremendous improvement in their performances. Of course, Saruman's Snake Battle Team was up against 2 weaker opponents, and the real challenge had yet to come. Yan Xiaoshu had gotten himself a girlfriend. Well, this was not something new. Ever since he was hurt by Yu Jing, he had issues with his viewpoint regarding relationships. And after hanging out with Jasper often, honestly speaking, he did not believe in love anymore. But God has his ways of playing around with people. Yan Xiaoshu, who was kept busy with work, had attended a business conference over at the moon. It was a hectic schedule nonetheless, and the moment the meeting had ended, he slipped out alone. Well, it turns out that he had overestimated the security over at the moon. Being decked out like a tycoon, his wallet got stolen. And for fear that people would contact him while he was there, he did not even bring along his Skylink, which could potentially help him in such a situation. And this was how he had met Ellen Zhao. Back then, he was squatting at the roadside, watching the ants as they moved along and smirked. Ellen had though, he was just a dull-witted youth who had lost his way. But it turns out, at that moment, Yan Xiaoshu felt that his world had lighted up. When an elegant lady like Ellen had offered him assistance with a wide smile, his heart raced. Everyone knew what would happen next. Taking advantage of the lady's kindness, pretending to be pitiful, innocent, dull-witted, he eventually won over the heart of the kind-hearted lady. Their love for each other developed just like a wildfire, making all the dull business talks warm as though spring had come. After his meetings, he would go and look for Ellen. Their relationship evolved quickly, but Yan Xiaoshu was still a little shy and only pulled Ellen's hand along, and even that was initiated by Ellen herself. This was not the first time Yan Xiaoshu had entered a relationship. He had a discerning eye, hence he was able to distinguish between a false display of affection or genuine feelings. All along, he disliked it, for it would be happier if he had not known all these. But Ellen had changed him. It was rare for a girl to like him not because of his wealth but her true feelings for him. He had very much wanted to inform his band of brothers about this new relationship, but he did not have the confidence to do so and hence he had to keep mum about it. Well, this was because he had thought of Mei's demanding mother. It was because he did not want to play around any longer, and wanted to settle down for good. The timing was just right. Ellen's father's birthday was coming up, and this was a great opportunity to meet her family. What gift should I get for him? Does your dad have any hobbies of interest? Although Tyrant Su had seen much of the world, he was extremely nervous. He doesn't smoke, neither does he drink. In my father's words, your presence is enough. Our family isn't lacking in anything, so don't waste your money on buying items that might not be useful to us. Why are you sweating so profusely? My dad ain't going to eat you up. Ellen smiled, and touched Tyrant Su's chubby face. Yan Xiaoshu touched his chin. How could he appear empty-handed in front of the elders? What's more, when it was her father's birthday, he asked Ellen, how about getting 2 fruit baskets? Well, if you're talking about fruits, it's fine. Ellen smiled and rubbed Xiaosu's round belly. Her friends around her had opposed this relationship due to her family background. Ellen was from the moon, and came from a middle-class family. On the other hand, Fatty Su was average in looks, and did not seem to be wealthy either. But what Ellen liked about Yan Xiaoshu was his gaze. It was very sincere, and that was the most touching part about him. In front of Ellen's house, Yan Xiaoshu kept blinking his eyes. He could not believe he was in a rich estate, in front of a villa that was 3 stories high, equipped with both front and back yards and a pool. This was certainly not what he had imagined a middle-class family to be. With such an extravagant and huge house, how can a retired high school teacher manage to afford these? Were the benefits on the moon really that great? Ellen, didn't you say your dad was a retired high school teacher? Yes, I did. Why? Then this house is. I did hear about this from my mother. This was her dowry. Don't worry, my parents are nice people and they're easy to get along with. Oh yes, don't talk frivolously. Ellen smiled. Even though Yan Xiaoshu was a few years older than her, she still felt like he was a small child. In fact, Ellen was going to graduate from the missionary college only this year. The moment they stepped in, they saw Ellen's parents watching television in the living room. The decorations and furniture in the rooms were not lavish and elaborate, instead it was rather simple. And even though it was her dad's birthday, there were no excessive decorations. Dad, Mum, this is Yan Xiaoshu, my boyfriend. Ellen introduced with her flushed cheeks. Happy birthday, Uncle. Hi, Auntie. Here are some fruits. It's just a little gesture that I hope you'll like. Yan Xiaoshu quickly greeted Ellen's parents. Honestly speaking, he had a phobia and could not speak fluently. Hello, come in quickly. Don't stand on ceremony, you can treat this like your own home, Ellen's mother said, after scanning through Yan Xiaoshu with a smile. She had also glared at Ellen, seemingly blaming her for only revealing the relationship now. Uncle and Auntie, you can call me Little Yan, Yan Xiaoshu said as he wiped off his sweat. He knew where he stood in terms of looks, and looking at the qualities of others, he just could not follow their footsteps no matter how hard he had tried. Come, little Yan, sit down. Don't be nervous, let's have a talk. Zhao Jie smiled. Ellen's father had maintained himself really well, for he looked like he was only in his early 40s, and he was amicable. But Yan Xiaoshu was still unsure about him, and barely took up half of his seat. Hey, Dad, don't bully him, Ellen said, as she went to prepare for the birthday celebration together with her mother. Yan Xiaoshu was worried, but the whole time, her father had just briefly understood the situation, and did not probe into private matters. This assured Yan Xiaoshu and he was overcome with emotions. Gradually, he opened up and was not as tense as before. He could see that the parents were only concerned over their daughter's relationship and nothing beyond it. Approximately half an hour later, a big boy charged right through the front door. He was about 13 or 14 years old, decked out in a basketball tee and was fiddling around with a basketball on his hands. Sweating profusely, he stared at Yan Xiaoshu for a good while before asking Ellen, who was right behind him, "Sis, so he's your boyfriend?" "Yes, you can call him Brother Yan." "Yikes, no thanks, that's disgusting." Zhao Yushang turned and whispered in Ellen's ear, "Sis, isn't he a little ugly?" Don't you think that being chubby is extremely cute?" "Okay, I get it. We have too many handsome guys here. And suddenly one chubby fellow comes along, and when something is rare it becomes precious." Ellen's brother shook his head in disappointment. He smiled at Yan Xiaoshu. "Hey, it's such a waste for my sister to be a pair with you. You'd better treat her well and cherish her, if not I'll definitely be coming for you." After threatening Yan Xiaoshu, he went upstairs to change into a new set of clothes. "Well, this kid doesn't know how to speak well, don't mind him." Ellen was a little embarrassed over her brother's behavior and just smiled at Yan Xiaoshu. "He's right. Don't you worry, I will definitely listen to my wife's words, and follow what my brother-in-law says," Yan Xiaoshu said with a laugh. Guests started streaming in, and Zhao Jie did not probe any further. After all, the two of them had not reached the point where they were going to talk about marriage. "Teacher Zhao, happy birthday. Last year I was at Mars, so I couldn't get back in time to attend your birthday celebration. And I had managed to convey my well wishes through Lu Zan, that little brat, but this year, he's the one who is unable to rush back in time." "Sao Yang, it's okay. Don't make time for me if you're really busy. Your career is important." This was just a few of many occurrences throughout the celebration, and Yan Xiaoshu was touched while looking on from the sideline, but it was obvious that Yan Xiaoshu was the center of attraction amongst all of Teacher Zhao's students, whilst he held Ellen's hands as they mingled around. Many of them looked at him with cold eyes. Teacher Zhao's daughter, who was their junior in school, had all along been in the missionary college. How could she be taken by a fatty who came out from nowhere just when she was about to graduate from college? Yan Xiaoshu was speechless as well. When he initially heard that Ellen only had a younger brother in her family, he was elated and relieved. To him, a younger brother was easy to deal with, compared to the protective stance that were typical of older siblings that were difficult to handle. But little did he expect that, after getting the girl, there were dozens of people who were acting like her elder siblings. "What do you work as?" Sao Yang asked as he was judging Yan Xiaoshu. Based on his dressing, it was quite reasonable. But, with this look, he was definitely incompatible with Zhao Jie's precious daughter. "Oh, I'm doing sales," Yan Xiaoshu replied with a smile. Sao Yang glanced at Yan Xiaoshu again, and there was something with his gaze. As a salesman, this was the time to offer a business card to pull some strings. It was the first time he had seen such a reserved and restrained salesman. At this moment, Ellen Zhao was pulled to one side by her female classmates. Whispering in her ears, they said, "Ellen, is this fatty your boyfriend? For real? Are you sure that you did not bring him over to bluff your parents?" "It's real, why'd I have to bluff others? Oh my, this fatty. He's cute and humorous." Ellen Zhao blinked her eyes before continuing, "And he treats me extremely well." Zhu Mengmeng nearly puked. This was certainly the result of being in a missionary school. Ellen was definitely influenced by the missionary school she was in. How could she believe in everything that God had said? "I think you have not been interacting with the people around you. Don't make hasty decisions, you must be careful and prevent yourself from being taken advantage of." Ellen Zhao laughed and shook her head. She did not want to elaborate and explain further. All along, Yan Xiaoshu was a polite gentleman, and she was the one who initiated holding each other's hands for the record. In her eyes, it was cute seeing Yan Xiaoshu getting flustered over whether he should hold her hands or not. Ellen, you just graduated. Don't rush into things. Perhaps it would be better if you get to know more people and keep your choices open. Ah, I guess that's not necessary. I'm pretty good right now. As God once said, when you meet someone who has the same mind as you, you'll be happy. You, Zhu Mengmeng touched her forehead as she said, well, it seems like she could not talk Ellen out of this. Sigh, did they think it was easy to play the bad guy after being chosen among a few female classmates? But Yan Xiaoshu wasn't exactly detestable, but as for his profession, his family background, did she go and figure it out? But the problem was that, the Zhao family were all devout Catholics and there was no way to persuade them. Hee hee. Ellen smiled cutely. Can you not laugh foolishly every single time? It pains me to see you like this. Forget it, I can't be bothered to nag at you anymore. Anyways, remember my words. As a sister, I have no intentions and just want you to keep your eyes open. In Zhu Mingming's eyes, Ellen was silly and cute, but this was something incurable. She had very much hoped that this fatty wasn't a jerk. Out of all the men, how many of them were not dirty-minded? What's more, when they meet a pure beautiful lady like Ellen Zhao, they would probably take the opportunity to fulfill their desires. On the other side, Cao Yang and a few classmates were discussing about Yan Xiaoshu too. There was definitely something wrong with this fellow. Cao Yang was a devout believer. For him to start from humble beginnings and build up his career, it was all because his sixth sense was always accurate. Even as Fatty Su looked rather easygoing and was a diligent worker with no temper, he was certain that it was not the case. But upon seeing the hall filled with guests, he was not in a hurry to probe further. After all, it was not right to ruin the atmosphere of Teacher Zhao's birthday party. However, within the bunch of classmates, they were already discussing and agreed to look into the background of Yan Xiaoshu. If he had turned out to be a fraud, the earlier they chased him off, the better it was. Right at this moment, there was a huge commotion, and even Teacher Zhao had went forth to receive his guests with a surprised expression on his face. Haha, long time no see, brother-in-law. I bet you didn't expect me to rush back here, am I right? Ha ha ha, my younger sister, aren't you happy to see your brother? A strong middle-aged man walked in with a group of people. His blazing eyes were radiating an aura of dignity. It was clear that he was someone of a high status. Both Mr. and Mrs. Zhao quickly walked up. My dear brother, didn't you say you were only able to return next month? Everything is settled over at the Hail Cloud Alliance? I guess there is some luck involved. If not, I guess I'll be spending another few years over there. How can I possibly miss my brother-in-law's birthday? I definitely have to return earlier. Let's not talk about that. Haha, it has been a year since I last met all of you. Wow, Yushang is so tall now. Why aren't you addressing me as uncle? Don't you recognize me? Also, Ellen has grown up to be a beauty. Do you have a boyfriend? Come, let me introduce to you. This is Wellington, the vice president of the Hail Cloud Alliance Warren Group. He blinked his eyes as he said. Yan Xiaoshu felt a little giddy. He had finally gotten his big break upon meeting such nice and friendly in-laws. But where did this uncle come from? Hi, Mr. Wellington. Oh yes, uncle, he's my boyfriend. Ellen Zhao did not evade the question and introduced Yan Xiaoshu. Even as the young lad in front of her was looking extremely fine, it did not matter to her. Upon hearing the word boyfriend, Kren Wellington frowned and interrupted Ellen's introduction. My dear, do you remember promising uncle something when you were young? Without my approval, no one can be considered as your boyfriend. Hey little kid, based on your looks, you're not from the moon, am I right? Yan Xiaoshu laughed. I'm from Earth. Oh, so what industry are you working in? After graduating from university, I took over the family business, Yan Xiaoshu replied. Oh, what business? Kren Wellington asked, looking a little more relaxed than before. Last time, my family sold female hygiene products, now. Before he could continue, everyone's faces turned dark. Wasn't this just a small tycoon who was incompetent and ill-mannered? Then I guess I'll have to apologize. Sorry, I'm afraid I'm not letting you pass this round. Kren Wellington said with an uneasy expression. He continued, it does not matter whether one is wealthy or not. but one definitely has to be compatible in terms of quality. Zhao Jie, I'm not aiming at you, it doesn't matter if you don't live up to others' expectations. But if it's concerning Ellen and Yushang, I'm definitely going to interfere and make sure they get the right match. Zhao Jie smiled and did not seem to mind. Kren, let the children do what they deem fit. Actually, as long as they like it, everything else isn't important. Ellen's mother gave a wide smile. She was happy, but at the same time she knew that her brother was trying to help out of goodwill. All these years, whenever the family had faced difficulties, Kren was always there to lend a helping hand. Uncle Kren, can we not talk about this today? Ellen said, I want to follow my feelings. Even if it doesn't work out eventually, I wouldn't want to attribute it to other people. Besides, I like it and I'm sure you'll wish that I will be happy. Kren was stunned. This young lady was a replica of her mother when she was young. He had doubts over his sister's choice then. Feelings, are feelings really that reliable? He had felt that Zhao Jie was going to be a poor teacher for life, and it was pointless for them to be together. Yan Xiaoshu kept it in. Honestly speaking, if not for Ellen, if someone else were to be this arrogant and cocky in front of him, Yan Xiaoshu would have given him a piece of his mind. At least within the territories of the solar system, there were not many who dared to give him such an attitude. The place was livened up the moment Kren had arrived, and Ellen took the opportunity to leave while pulling Yan Xiaoshu along. She apologized, Xiaoshu, I'm really sorry, my uncle. Silly girl, I'm not looking for your uncle to be my girlfriend. You're the one. Don't worry, I can accept everything in life with my huge tummy. Yan Xiaoshu said as he tapped his tummy, and then he exclaimed, ah, seems like it's time to cut down some weight. Ellen Zhao let out a laugh. Speaking of which, we've known each other for over 10 days and I have yet to meet your group of friends? Ah, my bad. I have 2 best buddies, they're like my siblings who go through thick and thin together with me. Give me a moment. Yan Xiaoshu said as he opened his Skylink. Well, this trip to the Zhaos was worth it. At least he had made a step forward, and Yan Xiaoshu was definite that Ellen Zhao was the one he was looking for. Hey brother, there's someone important that I want to introduce to you. Wang Zheng crawled up from his bed in the middle of the night and said, hey, do you know what time is it now? Who's the one? So highly regarded that you have to ring me up at this hour? Your future sister-in-law. Now can you tell me if this is important or not? What, why didn't you tell me earlier? Let me go and get changed. Wang Zheng laughed. Actually he was taken by surprise, because Xiaoshu had become a little cynical after his past relationships with Yu Jing and Mei. So what was this all about? But after seeing Ellen Zhao, Wang Zheng seemed like he understood it all. She was someone whom Yan Xiaoshu could find serenity and happiness in. He was truly happy for Yan Xiaoshu. It was not easy for one to be able to meet his true love. For one to be able to find someone he really loves, it was not easy. Yan Xiaoshu closed his Skylink. He knew Wang Zheng was happy for him too. He had made the right choice this time round, and he knew that Wang Zheng's foresight was always reliable. He's still schooling? Ellen Zhao asked out of curiosity. Let me tell you, my dearest brother is someone exceptional and amazing. We have sworn to take over the Milky Way Alliance together. Yan Xiaoshu was exaggerating a little, but Ellen laughed nonetheless. There's another one who is on the moon. I'll bring you to see her tomorrow, Yan Xiaoshu said, and, I just wanted to say this, I might be different from what you think of me. Ellen Zhao smiled, and held Yan Xiaoshu's hands gently. Don't mind what others say, I believe in my own judgments. God once said, I will know when he comes. You really think that you were looking suave squatting at the corner that day? Yan Xiaoshu held Ellen's hands tightly. I will protect you, don't worry, I have the capability to do so. At this moment, there was a notification on Yan Xiaoshu's Skylink. A document was sent over to him, and he smiled. What was Kren up to? He had very much wanted to deal with him, but he had to use a different method. It was too easy for him to make a fool out of Kren in public. Honestly speaking, such a character was nothing for the current Yan Xiaoshu. It was because he was not that shallow-minded, and by doing so it would make Ellen sad. Yan Xiaoshu was not the same rash fellow as before. Xiaoshu, do you have something on? Ah, I forgot. You're here on a business trip, will your boss blame you for hanging out with me? Yan Xiaoshu smiled, I'm the boss, I decide when I'm working and when I'm on holiday. Don't worry, nothing will happen. Ellen caressed Yan Xiaosu's chubby face. If you're busy, go ahead. Don't worry, I won't run away with other people. Yan Xiaoshu was at a loss for words, as he knew that Ellen would not care much about his status. Yan Xiaoshu was fine, but it wasn't the case with Ellen's uncle. Eventually, Yan Xiaoshu was being called over. Yan Xiaoshu wasn't that tensed up as before when facing Kren Wellington. He just sipped his tea, in a rather relaxed position before posing his question. Mr. Wellington, you're looking for me. Kren Wellington was taken aback as this fatty seemed rather obstinate and cocky. He frowned and said, you and Ellen don't match well. Since today is Zhao Jie's birthday, I don't wish to make a big fuss out of it. After this, you better go to where you should be heading. Yan Xiaoshu laughed. What do you mean? I should be staying here. The only ones who can make me leave are Ellen and her parents. If I were you, perhaps you should pay some attention to your company, which is at the verge of closing down. Do you think the Solar System Business Alliance would care about your small company, or are you hoping that the Warren Group can save you? Kren Wellington was stunned. Who are you exactly? Who told you all these? He suddenly stood up and looked at Yan Xiaoshu with fiery eyes. Could it be that Xiaoshu was someone sent by his rivals? Yan Xiaoshu laughed without a care. It's not important to know who I am. But what you do need to know is that, after another 10 minutes, your company will be mine. If not for the fact that you are related to and cared about the Zhao family, you could be sleeping on the streets in the future. Wellington laughed in disbelief. Hey fatty, who do you think you are to be talking to me like this? Yan Xiaoshu continued. Didn't Ellen introduce earlier on? Oh, pardon my poor memory. She only introduced my identity, but not my name. I'm Yan Xiaoshu. Wellington got a shock and froze. As long as one was from the solar system, it would be impossible for them to not know about the two famous youngsters that had been making waves recently. One was called Yi Zisu, the other was Yan Xiaoshu. Both of them were on the cover of this year's Solar System Time magazine, and they both helmed the hottest emerging company. Yi Zisu had the skills, while Yan Xiaoshu had a rather secretive background. Rumors had it that he could roam freely within the boundaries of the Milky Way Alliance, for instance the I Financial Group of the Hale Cloud Alliance, the Tadinger Corporation of Leah Sphinx, etc. This time, he had tapped on the connections of several individuals, just to get to know someone from the upper management of the Little Lucky Star Corporation. The real mighty god was right in front of him, and what did he even do? By the time Wellington regained his senses, Yan Xiaoshu had left. To deal with people like Wellington, he definitely had to knock some sense into him. With regards to what happens after this, it was all dependent on his performance, and the moment he went outside, Yan Xiaoshu became a hard-working sidekick. After Wellington came out from the room, he changed. Initially, he was someone whom was trying to steal the limelight of the party. But he suddenly kept a low profile, and did not talk much. It was just as though he had become invisible. On the contrary, Yan Xiaoshu could be seen everywhere. He was entertaining the masses, making them laugh to their heart's content. Perhaps others would think that he was just acting like a clown, but what mattered to Yan Xiaoshu more was Ellen's smile. At the Elite Academy, Wang Zheng, who had won again, did not change much, but at the Elite Academy, Wang Zheng was no longer unknown. Both victories in 2 battles and excellent performance in 2 different positions boosted Wang Zheng's popularity. You had to admit that being noticed in the Elite Academy was something no other school could compare to. Being able to leave an impression in these people's minds would bring Wang Zheng great help in the future. Of course, at the moment, Wang Zheng did not realize that. Wang Zheng was now giving Weiyan tuition. Weiyan, I meant that battle techniques are concepts most of the time and will change according to the actual situation, to make the necessary adjustments on time. But an individual's basic battle technique concept will not have much changes. That means that there is a pattern to be discovered. Are you listening? Wang Zheng knocked on the table. I am listening, I was listening. It's very logical. Weiyan smiled sweetly. It made it difficult for people to retort. You have to focus. Wang Zheng was helpless. This girl, did she really want to learn? I'm very focused. If you find me daydreaming you can slap my hand. Weiyan stretched out her fair little hand. Facing Weiyan, Wang Zheng had no way of dealing with her and could only continue talking. And beside them, Lu Dai and Anil was also helpless. Her Highness was so close to this Wang Zheng. This was not appropriate, but while other people could comment on it, they could not. They were now Her Highness's followers. That meant that they had to stand by the princess's views at all times. Even if it were the royal family to come and ask for information, without Her Highness's permission, they could not say anything. To put it simply, their future was tied to the princess. They could reach the sky in a step and have a very bright development. But this required them to give up all so-called personalities and individual judgment. Anil and Lu Dai were actually having a headache. Even if the princess was interested in something, there was no lack of powerful people at Aslan. Why must she always go to Wang Zheng? They were also helpless. They had no right to object. However, because of the continuous dual victories of the Saruman snake, the two of them also no longer belittled Wang Zheng. Ability was very convincing, and when they looked at Wang Zheng now, it seemed like he was really quite amazing. After half an hour, Wang Zheng finally concluded his tuition session. Wei Yan was still very enthusiastic. It was unclear whether she had really listened or totally took it as a storytelling session. The two of them still had other mission, to look for Butcher. Lu Dai and Anil was helpless. They were not allowed to enter the laboratory. Butcher was very happy to see Wang Zheng and patted Wang Zheng on his shoulder. "Good kid, you did very well, winning yet another round." Still okay, is there something good today? You kid, always thinking about good things the whole day, but there really is something fun. Wei Yan, you come along too, Butcher said. Fun stuff, that's great, Wei Yan was quite happy. There was no other way. Previously, they were discovered when they tried to secretly trespass the laboratory. But Wang Zheng had underestimated Wei Yan's ability in handling such situations. Butcher originally wanted to educate these two naughty kids, but after being pacified by Lin Wei Yan, he immediately surrendered. Was that not the case? Now when there were new things, he would remember to invite Wei Yan along. The three of them arrived at the laboratory. The employees were busy building the model. Upon seeing the model, Wang Zheng's irises enlarged. Butcher took one look at Wang Zheng. Doesn't it look familiar? Wang Zheng nodded. The tentacle monster in the abyss. That should be a tunneling monster. You are right. With Li Yizhou and your intelligence, the military still had to pay quite the price to get more information. Not only these few things. Our understanding of the abyss increased by leaps and bounds, but we cannot progress with our current battle power, Butcher said. Wang Zheng frowned slightly. If I can make the decision, I will definitely think of a way to seal the abyss. It's too dangerous. Butcher smiled. I agree, but that is not possible and there is no feasible and effective sealing method. Since we cannot retreat, then we have to prepare enthusiastically. After we have completed the analysis of these specimens and their battle power, we will promote several individuals in the elite academy and let you guys find the most effective method to defeat them. Lin Wei Yan looked at the screen. The Zerg in the abyss were making all sorts of movement. The live ones seemed more fun than the dead. This databank had used up quite a lot of Butcher's time and energy. He was focused on this for these few years and at the moment, it was finally going to be used, to be promoted in the elite academy. With this system, it could allow everyone to have a better understanding of their enemies. Granddaddy Butcher, this tunneling monster is so scary. How can it run so fast underground? Is there no resistance? Lin Wei Yan asked curiously. A smile immediately spread on Butcher's face. No matter who they were, if they were called by the little princess like this, would be extremely happy. This was even better than having Wang Zheng to sing 100 praises. According to the information now, we hypothesize that for this type of Zerg, tunneling is just what it looks like it's doing. It should be utilizing a form of spatial movement. Except why it can be carried out underground, that is still unknown. But its battle power is very shocking. Once these few types of monsters appear on the battlefield, our front line will be in danger. It is still not clear why, despite having such strong battle power, the Zerg species still did not use them. Butcher was a little uncertain too. However, in Wang Zheng's heart, there was another perspective. The Zerg species was a strong and large species that could battle the humans in the universe. Any species to be able to make it to this level would definitely not be too stupid. They did not gain any upper hand on the fight between humans and the Zerg species. At most they defended. Was it possible that they were trying to lure humanity into a false sense of security? Wang Zheng also did not dare to speculate on the specifics because after all, this thing involved too many other matters. It was not something that he could understand at the moment. Wei Yan was still very curious. She asked many questions and Butcher very patiently answered them all. They chatted happily and Wang Zheng on the other hand became an audience. After leaving Butcher's research facility, Wei Yan dragged Wang Zheng away. She wanted to have supper together. Lu Dai and Anil followed behind. This caused Wang Zheng to have a headache. Wei Yan, can you ask the two of them to return? Wei Yan laughed. I can't do that too. Actually, isn't this good? There's 3 beauties accompanying you. 2.5, I guess. What, your conditions are too high, who's the half? Of course it's you, little girl, after saying, he pinched Lin Wei Yan's cute little nose. Well, you are teasing me again. This will not do, later I will eat more. Wang Zheng was also speechless. This little girl's appetite was very good, but she had a good figure. She was not fat at all. Anil and Lu Dai did not speak either. The both of them still kept a certain distance from Wang Zheng. They seemed to have focused on their role as a bodyguard. After entering adulthood, princesses would have their own group of advisors, involving economic, military and political aspects. The two of them was obviously from the military team. But Wang Zheng felt that this was too old-fashioned. They were still students. Was this necessary? However, these two beautiful women were actually very willing to do so. This was a type of honor. In this case, Wang Zheng would not be humble. He wanted to eat and drink to his heart's content. The recent amount of training was very large and his appetite was very big too. He had to eat till he was full. Lin Wei Yan liked to watch Wang Zheng eat. When he ate, everything seemed delicious. This period of time was Wei Yan's happiest days. So much freedom, she hoped that this would continue on. Open your mouth. Wei Yan picked up a piece of beef and shoved it into Wang Zheng's mouth. Anil wanted to stop her but Wang Zheng had already eaten it. Wang Zheng became Princess Wei Yan's private coach. This news caused a huge commotion in the college. Wang Zheng had become a classic case of a pauper-turned-prince story. A guy from Earth actually received acknowledgement from the princess. This was such a f***ing unbelievable thing. Even if it was at a place like the Elite Academy, this was still a very miraculous thing. Almost everyone thought that if the princess needed any tutoring, she would definitely get someone from Aslan. And in reality, Aslan had enough advantages in all aspects. But the reality was that Princess Lin Wei Yan chose the Saruman Snake Battle team. Actually in the past there were some rumors that Princess Wei Yan was very interested in the Saruman Snake Battle team. Until today, it was already proven right. Everyone was envious of Wang Zheng's luck. Lin Wei Yan was no doubt the #1 beauty of the Elite Academy, and also the #1 beauty in history. While her status as a princess did have a boosting effect, but to be honest, ignoring her status, Wei Yan similarly would stand out from a group of beauties. To discuss battle techniques or other things with the princess was as though living in heaven. Of course, the people outside only knew what was happening on the surface. The internal core members of Aslan all knew that the relationship between Her Highness and Wang Zheng was really very good. They seemed to have a deeper secret, except that the others did not know. As for the rumors outside, Lin Wei Yan did not care at all. As a member of the royal family, if she could not even withstand that bit of gossip, then she would have died long ago. As for Wang Zheng, where would he have the time to care about these things? The battle team's affairs, Butcher, the universe's Genesis coffee and adding on a Lin Wei Yan, his time was already totally occupied. He still had to take part in some affairs of King. The promotional effect of the warping box was very good. While the box was still lacking in terms of design, and needed to be further improved and completed, but its future was already broadly acknowledged by the Milky Way Alliance. This first wave of promotion had earned them quite a lot of orders. It was also unclear whether they were fated rivals. OMG's version of the box still invaded Aslan's technical expertise. Aslan and Atlantis's cooperation birthed a few versions of Super Mecha which had excellent movement abilities, for instance, the Void Shadow God that Hakatalan used. This was all part of Aslan's top-secret technology. To use this type of displacement required the user to have a very high level of ability X. However, the box was different. Any warrior could use it. You could say that from the aspect of technology, they directly broke Aslan's restrictions. As for the high level of value that the Arbiter Republic placed on them and their desire to share a deeper cooperation with OMG, even on technology cooperation, of course, the latter was still rejected. It was rare for the solar system to produce such advanced technology and they definitely needed to preserve their advantage. This also provided various benefits for OMG. Yi Zhisu actually left messages for Wang Zheng every day, more or less talking about the recent situation. Recently Yi Zhisu was complaining about how someone was not doing his work and spending his whole day with his girlfriend. He could see that Yi Zhisu also liked that Zhao Ellen a lot. A very simple girl, while she was a little surprised after knowing Yan Xiaosu's real identity, she did not really care about it. At the start, she was also not aiming for something from Yan Xiaosu. No matter whether poor or rich, to a person who lived life fully and gratefully, both was acceptable. Of course, it was naturally a good thing that Yan Xiaoshu was doing so well. He could help more people. And was this not true? Under the influence of Zhao Ellen, the Little Fortune Star Company built a Little Fortune Star charity fund. The first phase was invested in building 10 church schools. If it were in the past, Tyrant Su would definitely not do this sort of non-profit business. Zhao Ellen really gave him the experience of other beautiful things. Those little things in life brought Wang Zheng a lot of motivation. Knowing that Yan Xiaoshu was living a good life made him happy as though he was also living an equally good one. That guy had managed to walk his own path and did it very well. He also could not lag behind. No one knew about the future but since he was alive, and he had such good chances, of course he had to live life to the fullest. On Friday, the second round of battle continued. The first was the Dark Wolves battle team versus Star Leah battle team. For these two teams who lost in the first round of battle, this battle was very important. Before the competition, supporters of both teams had long started an argument. While the Dark Wolves battle team lost very badly in the first round, but that was the crime of non-battle. Aslan at the moment was widely recognized to be unsolvable. Whoever who went up against them would experience the same result. Of course, this was momentarily. This was the sure result of a lack of experience against the Atlantis mecha. After familiarizing, the situation would change. But that was not now. Ignoring failures and seeing only abilities, the effect of Slauberg's darkness screen in team battles were no doubt one of the scariest abilities. The vision of the whole team was taken away. In a battle where the abilities were around the same level, this was a fatal difference. One team could see and the other were all blind. Could they still fight? The supporters of Dark Wolves were all very confident. Tempest, the Azure Dragon King, was very strong but they had more confidence in the strength of the Dark Wolves. The Star Leah battle team supporters obviously would not agree to such a viewpoint. It seemed to be a very logical explanation, but these usually were rubbish. Slauberg's ability was very amazing, but did one really think that ability X was like blinking or eating? Especially for an ability X like the darkness screen with team attack effects. It could not be used continuously for too long. The so-called undefeatable Dark Wolves was only for one wave of attack. As long as this wave could be defended, then following would be the Star Leah battle team's time to explode. The Azure Dragon King would teach these wolf puppies how to hide their tail and be dogs. Both teams were ready and the other battle teams also entered the observing deck. The first round, all teams were testing and getting used. The second round, the competition then truly entered the fierce fight stage. Wang Zheng, who do you think have a higher chance of winning? Zhang Shan was leaning towards the Dark Wolves battle team. Slauberg's darkness screen was really not just a normal crazy ability. If the sky turned dark at a crucial moment, all the others had to do was to crazily attack the opponents and they could basically win. 50-50, I guess. Tempest is not the only strong one in the Star Leah battle team. All of them could be a free fighter considering their strengths. Wang Zheng laughed. He was more interested in seeing how Tempest would target the Dark Wolves battle team. The pressure of the second round was higher than the first round. All teams needed to enthusiastically collect intelligence and know their opponents well. At this moment, both teams had chosen their mecha and entered into the battle system, and on the big screen of the real-time observing hall, the formation of the two teams were displayed. Dark Wolves battle team vs Star Leah battle team Slauberg, Hades 9th generation, Pampas, Wrath of Heaven. Wolf, Wolf Spirit Guard. Ya Tianan, Desolate Steel Beast. Yang Pan, Sirius Mech. Edgar, Leah's Tusk. Lepkev, Radiant Wheel King. Ao Ziwei, Angel. Zheng Kuang, Wind God. Kashi, Soul Reaper. Once the formation was shown, there was a huge commotion outside. Ka Dao's eyes were gleaming too. The two teams at the same time gave up their sniper position and added a scout mech. This will be a frontal clash. Both teams' style are strong in their ability to team battle. Shui Yu nodded. This competition would no doubt be a grand feast of team battle. Battles without the sniper would no doubt be the fiercest. At this moment, the competition scene had already started. The two battle teams were both advancing together. Obviously, they were all very confident in their team battling ability. The city environment was very complicated. Both parties were looking for chances. The 4 scout mecha became the protagonists of the battlefield. There were many clashes in the central city area among the several 100 meters tall skyscrapers. Both sides retreated after each clash, mainly testing out the opponent. Both sides were avoiding a fast explosive head-on full-scale determinative battle. The stronger the teams were in team battles, the more they valued creating their own chances and avoiding the other party's chances. The Dark Wolves battle team is at a disadvantage. The Azure Dragon King's command is very experienced. They keep taking the advantageous position. Slauberg's Hades 9th generation cannot find the chance to launch the Darkness Screen strong attack. Ka Dao's eyes glowed. To him, compared to Ability X, Pampas's commandeering ability was the true strongest point of the Star Leah battle team. Looks like the loss in the previous battle not only did not break the rhythm of the Star Leah battle team but on the contrary, the whole team's cooperation had become closer. Shui Yu announced her viewpoint too. In a standoff between teams, it would be nervous and careful but it would also be a little boring. But she could predict, once it exploded, then it would be a full-scale determinative battle. It was the calm before the storm and a little suppressing. The audience at the scene all had their own comments. The Star Leah battle team was like one body and had no gaps. On the other hand, the Dark Wolves battle team was showing their teeth. Even if they showed some gaps, they also gave the Star Leah battle team a type of difficult-to-attack feeling, making them unable to determine whether to have a head-on exchange of attacks. Continuously testing each other, both parties finally met at the central city area, formation against formation. There was already no space to retreat or change at this position. No doubt, this was the venue of the last determinative battle between the two teams. The scouts of both teams returned to their team. The side wings were covered and would be activated upon the head-on clash. The Dark Wolves battle team were not in a hurry to activate Darkness Screen. Slauberg's Ability X might be strong but their opponent was also B-rank Ability X users. The effect of Darkness Screen would not last long. Good steel had to be used on the edge of the knife. Yongpan's Sirius mech at this moment was no doubt the most attractive. Among the sounds of engines revving, a super-huge metal claymore formed of 3 differently shaped huge swords landed on the floor with a loud clashing sound. There was a powerful feeling that it could sweep away all that stood in its path. Yongpan was also a little angry. In the previous round, they wanted to use battle techniques against the Aslanians but in the end the whole team was beaten up so quickly by an Atlantis Phantom King's sonic speed attack. One such experience was enough. This is Sirius Super Combi Metal Sword. My god, this huge sword of Yongpan used just how much Sirius Super Alloy Metal? Shui Yu blinked. Sirius Super Alloy Metal? That sounds like something special? Yes, the Sirius Super Alloy Metal is a special alloy metal made from refining a unique natural metal of the Sirius star. It is rarer than the super gravitational ore and it can match perfectly with Ability X. Its rigidity is the strongest, but the weight of this metal is extremely heavy. Undefeatable, undefeatable, undefeatable. The audience already gave their answer. The students from Sirius Star howled. Once they saw this sword of judgment they all became ecstatic. Obviously this Yongpan was angered. Just in this instant, Yongpan conquered the audience. Everyone looked forward to the impact this exaggerated huge sword would bring. However, Ka Dao shook his head. Something's wrong. Based on Pampas' commandeering ability, there's no reason why he would force himself into this position to carry out, through the wall. Hong, very clearly, based on Pampas' ability, as long as he did not fight you head-on, then under the complicated environment of this city, there would be enough space to change the situation. This looked like a battle to death, but it was actually a trap. Yang Pan was going to move forward and then he was stunned. He only saw the other parties suddenly withdrawing their formation and then they rushed towards the wall behind them. They used the same tactic again. Because of this impact, there was a huge gaping hole in the wall. 5 mecha rushed over quickly and soon the huge hole was totally blocked by the debris. Pampas. What did this mean? They ran without fighting. This was a typical action to lower morale, and one's ability X was not unlimited. If they used it now, then what would happen later? That's not right. The Star Leah battle team's scout did not attack again. Instead it is sticking closely to each other. The Star Leah team's current formation is too tight. What are they trying to do? Shui Yu blinked. The situation in front of her eyes were a mystery. Ka Dao was also frowning. He stared closely at the city area map. If Pampas and the others went through like this, then Dark Wolves would have to go around the entire area to catch up with them. This was a very long path. Zhang Shan rubbed his chin. Is Pampas stupid? Even if they have enough abilities to use, they also need not waste it like this. He could not help but fantasize. If he had Pampas's strong ability X, with his mastery of the cycle of the 5 greater elements, he would be able to use 6 warps consecutively. It would be like flying in the sky. Even the Phantom King would have to move aside. Wang Zheng frowned. The Dark Wolves battle team is in trouble. What trouble? Zhang Shan was stunned. Wang Zheng never predicted something without reason. Just at this moment, Ka Dao suddenly stood up. Hang on, with the current position of Pampas and his team, if they run through these few blockages, then they could directly attack the energy source tower of the Dark Wolves battle team. Who said that you had to destroy the other party to win? One could still win through the rules. Destroying the other party's energy source tower was also a winning condition. A qualified leader had to grab hold of any conditions that could be used to achieve victory, to create victories. There was no doubt that Pampas's ability X was most suitable for indirect battles. The whole place was quiet for an instant and then it exploded into discussions. From the marks and positional analysis that Ka Dao made on the map, using Pampas's ability X to travel through, they could indeed advance quickly to the undefended energy source tower. While the energy source tower had a certain defense and attack, but as long as there was 2 mecha, it was enough to destroy it. Time was of the essence. The seemingly fight-to-death position was actually Pampas's careful seduction to lure the Dark Wolves battle team into a position that would make it difficult for them to give chase before leaving to launch a strong attack on the energy source tower. No wonder they would choose 2 scouts and give up the sniper mech. Their goal was to redirect their opponent's movements. Shui Yu heaved a huge sigh. The Dark Wolves battle team was in danger. But the Dark Wolves battle team had reacted in the first instance and analyzed the positions. They immediately felt the danger and was returning to defend. Yang Pan did not even have the time to dissemble and keep his huge sword. He dragged it behind him and led his team to rush towards the energy source tower. The Dark Wolves battle team did not lose their cool. After Pampas's ability X was exposed, it was not that everyone did not think of this point, but it was Pampas who was too naive. The energy source tower also had defenses. It was very difficult to destroy it within a short period of time, and as long as they could manage to rush back to defend the tower, they could cooperate with the energy source tower's defensive cannon and launch a double-sided attack on their opponent. Even more so, at that position, the other party had no way of attacking the energy source tower in time before they had caught up. But, Pampas, releasing his ability once again, he is simply a creator of all things. God mode, don't his ability X need to rest? Continuously passing through obstacles twice. This type of terrain is too fatal. How can the Dark Wolves battle team catch up? Yang Pan's facial expression changed. Now that the terrain had changed and based on the speed of their formation now, when they caught up, most likely the energy source tower would be destroyed as well. Total defense. With a Hong Long, Slauberg's Hades 9th generation and Zheng Quang's Wind God rushed out at full speed immediately. As the speed-type warrior mecha, the Sirius mech and Radiant Wheel King was only slower by 1 step. But the Wolf Spirit Guard, a heavy armor mech, obviously could not catch up with the rhythm and totally fell behind the team. The Wolf Spirit Guard is lagging behind, but the others in the Dark Wolves battle team are closing in with high speed. There's still a chance. Ka Dao was very excited. Would there really be a victory by the rule today? But the Dark Wolves battle team was not without hope. The two Scout Mecha, and the Radiant Wheel King and Sirius Mech were also Speed-type Mech. As long as Slauberg caught up to a point where he could activate his ability X, then he could use the darkness screen to delay his opponents. The Star Leah battle team was also giving their all in advancing. This was a battle tactic. They were fighting for time. They even gave up the sniper mech to ensure speediness. If not for needing the heavy armor mech to tank the defense cannon of the energy source tower, Ya Tianan would have chosen a scout mech as well. But their opponent had also chosen to use lighter mecha for this battle. Time was very tight, but now the desolate steel beast obviously dragged down the speed of the whole team. "Leader, should I go and snipe instead?" Kashi suggested. The other team was chasing closely, and if this carried on, then they would really lose everything. Tempest shook his head. He was also calculating the time needed. His battle tactic was based upon the amount of time he could gain over the opponents. If the other party chased slowly, then he would really make use of the fact that he could win by the rules. If the other party could catch up to them, then they would definitely give up the heavy armor mech which was dragging them down. Time was also of the essence there. It would allow them to fight a 5 vs 4. In team battles, this was no doubt the battle opportunity to determine failure or victory. The Dark Wolves battle team's speed was indeed fast. Tempest predicted and made a decision immediately. "Everyone stop, prepare for battle. Let us give the Dark Wolves battle team a memorable time." Tempest ordered decisively. An excellent commander would not stubbornly stick to the rules but make changes based on the changes in the current situation. The Star Leah battle team immediately stopped and quietly waited. The scouts had already occupied an advantageous position. The audience, which had the viewpoint of the gods, were all afraid for the Dark Wolves battle team. The heavy armor was lagging behind while the others were giving chase at full speed. As the core, the Sirius mech dragging its huge sword was actually the fastest. Its aura was impressive, but this was practically making him a living target. Ya Tianan put in all her focus. In an instant, she saw 4 mecha rushing over. Now, Hong, desolate steel beast suddenly emerged aggressively from behind its cover, grand earth explosion. Ya Tianan's blasted towards Slauberg like a meteorite that could not be blocked. Getting rid of Slauberg was winning half the battle. It was over. Slauberg was definitely the core of the battle tactic, especially under the situation of 4 against 5. If he was hit by the desolate steel beast, instantly it would become a bad situation of 3 against 5, and they had not used darkness screen yet. Ka Dao almost could not bear to watch. The Dark Wolves were too careless, but they had no other choice. All this was under the calculations of Tempest. But there was a sudden change. God, what was this bloody thing? At the key moment, the Sirius mech positioned itself in front of Slauberg. What the FK? Was Yang Pan asking to die? A warrior mech standing against the tackle of a heavy mech? The sword of judgment stabbed into the ground fiercely. Hong. A direct hit. An astounding loud crash drowned everything. It was as though it had become the only sound in this space. But the one to be flung out was the desolate steel beast? The ground broke apart and was as though it had been hit by an asteroid, but the Sirius mech continued to stand tall. Ya Tianan felt as though he had crashed into an iron mountain. However, he was after all a top-notch heavy armor tank. He growled and wanted to continue attacking, and behind him, his teammates had already had him covered. But at this moment, darkness enveloped every member of the Star Leah battle team. "Please close your eyes in the darkness screen." Slauberg's lips curled into a cold smile. He wanted to be the team leader, but Yang Pan, this madman, was too scary. Hence he could only be the assistant team leader. The Radiant Wheel King had caught up at this moment, and without hesitation, his radiant wheels flew out and hit Ya Tianan's desolate steel beast with full strength. Under the situation where the other party's heavy armor mech was disabled, they had to prioritize getting rid of the enemy's heavy tanks and its protection of the enemy's mech. Ya Tianan wanted to move, but he not only could not see, he was also frozen stiff. Yang Pan's huge sword was not only large in size. He was frozen by a strange attraction, Yang Pan's ability X. And to the audience outside, they could only see Yang Pan lifting his huge sword bit by bit. With every inch raised, the sword would become a little brighter. The sword of judgment, Hong, the raised huge sword suddenly landed. Ya Tianan instantly held his breath and activated his energy shield to the full extent. He was a heavy armor mech. Even if all the enemies targeted him, he could still withstand the attacks a period of time. But, Hong, beneath the huge sword, the energy shield of the heavy armor mech was like tofu. It instantly broke apart. The huge sword sliced through him in one blow. The desolate steel beast was directly split into half. Judgment. Everyone was silent. What degree of violence was this? No one had thought of this scene, but it happened so blatantly. Everyone was shocked. What was this? One slash and it became two pieces, and it was a heavy armor mech Ike the desolate steel beast. And on the other side, it was a warrior-type mech. Who? Yang Pan let out a howl of the Wolf King. The excitement of the Dark Wolves battle team was ignited. The power of judgment, one slash into two pieces. After instantly destroying Ya Tianan, Yang Pan had no intention of stopping. He raised his greatsword, dragged it along and continued his attack. The darkness screen was gradually dissipating, but the situation was already stabilized. However, at this moment Tempest gave a snide snort and a sudden ray of light emerged through the pitch-black world. Slauberg's darkness screen had only a few seconds of effect on him. But just as he blinked, he saw Yang Pan's leap. And Ya Tianan was already destroyed. He frowned slightly. The wrath of heaven calmly engaged the crazy Yang Pan. Facing the serious fierceness, Tempest did not clash head-on. He had depleted quite a lot of ability X in passing through the obstacles now. And Yang Pan, who had just instantly destroyed the desolate steel beast, would not be in a good condition too. The two of them were waiting to recover. At the same time, Zheng Kuang's wind god rushed towards Ao Ziwei. When the enemy was weak, it was a chance to finish them off. Just as he rushed out, he heard Slauberg's message, "Be careful, that woman." But it was already too late. The wind god had already quietly rushed to the back of the angel. Theoretically speaking, under the situation where she could not see, Ao Ziwei was doomed. But, just as the wind god mech stabbed towards the pilot cabin of the angel suddenly turned. She could see. It was only now that Zheng Kuang heard the bottom half of Slauberg's message, immune to ability X. Hong, the angel swayed and the energy shield blocked his strike. Zheng Kuang realized that his captivity ability X was totally ineffective. Zheng Kuang was stunned and then he quickly retreated. The agility of the wind god was used to full effect. But Ao Ziwei followed closely like a shadow. Her beam saber vibrated explosively. It was a purely violent way of attacking. How was this like a woman? This was totally a wild beast from the stories and novels. The beam saber gave out a chilling vibrating glow. Hong 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 hong. 1 slash, 2 slashes, 3 slashes. Every slash carried the energy of vibrating explosions. There was no way to withstand. And he could not even retaliate. In the instant Slauberg's darkness screen was used, Ao Ziwei sensed danger. Well, it lasted only 3 seconds, but that was enough. The wind god mech only withstood 5 slashes and directly exploded. The wind god's weakness was its thin energy shield, and after being pursued by Ao Ziwei's angel, the agility of the wind god could not be fully utilized. Edgar's tusk mech was targeted by the Radiant Wheel King. After one crazy round of attacks by the Radiant Wheel King, the tusk mech was also beaten until it was enraged. It could not see and could only evade like crazy based on instincts. The ability X of Wind attribute was very strong in predicting attacks. It actually allowed him to evade the first round of attacks. While the tusk mech was half destroyed, but it could still battle. The instant he could see clearly, he saw the Radiant Wheel King hiding behind. But the other party might not have known the reason he was called the Glory of the Eye of Death. Wind, rise your sails, the wind of victory. Edgar suddenly appeared behind the Radiant Wheel King. It was not spatial movement, but the cooperation between the tusk mech's speed and his ability X, the wind of victory, wind bond technique. Gotcha. The Radiant Wheel King only had time to turn around and his mech already could not move at all. It was Edgar's wind bond technique. Once an offensive warrior was near a super scout mech, that was like the death god visiting. He did not think of escaping at all. The Radiant Wheel King was also very heroic. The Radiant Wheel turned and attacked him in this super close distance. This was a dangerous distance because he could hurt himself. But at this moment, it was the courageous who would win on such a narrow path. Whoever who thought about their own life would die faster. Hong. The Tusk mech turned fiercely, wind bond assassination. The Radiant Wheel King directly fell to the ground and Edgar could no longer control the Tusk mech. The Radiant Wheel King retaliated without consideration of the results had similarly caused fatal damage to him. The two mecha fell at the same time. Kexy's Soul Reaper had just been released from the darkness and it was at this instant that one's vision and mentality were at its weakest. Slauberg had already attacked. Eye of Death. The Soul Reaper's characteristics were very obvious. It was violent and dangerous. Kashi was not a specialized scout. At this moment, his reactions were a little slower and it contributed to Slauberg's successful kill. Hong. Ao Ziwei advanced and attacked coldly from the other side. Slauberg's Hades 9th generation quickly retreated but Ao Ziwei did not give Slauberg the chance. Her beam saber quickly raised and slashed down. The vibrating explosion slashes were used again. Any scout who was pursued by her ability would only die, they would vibrate and explode. Hong. The Hades 9th generation destroyed Kexy's Soul Reaper but at the same time was destroyed by the Angel. Ao Ziwei was also a glorious fighter during the IG. While she was always low-key after entering the Elite Academy but her improvement in her abilities were very fast. Ao Ziwei turned and just as she was about to join in the battle against Yang Pan, a heavy armor mech blocked her path. The Wolf Spirit Guard. The battle was almost over before the wolf managed to rush over Ao Ziwei, but it was already too late. Slauberg's fall enraged wolf. Wolf Spirit Suppression, Hong. His ability X directly exploded. Seeing the Wolf Spirit Guard charging towards her, Ao Ziwei's cold face finally had a change in expression. Continuous battles had already depleted her severely. An attack warrior to be suppressed by a heavy armor mech, similarly. The Angel was directly locked down by the Wolf Spirit Guard. The heavy armor mech had the advantage of weight and it was showed off at this moment. The Angel which was pushed down by the Wolf Spirit Guard was destroyed by a round of beating. Hong. The Angel did not withstand for long before the Wolf Spirit Guard directly twisted her head off. The battle between the two teams were too fierce. Instantly, the Star Leah battle team was left with only Tempest. With the arrival of the Wolf Spirit Guard, the situation was now favoring the Dark Wolves battle team, and under a situation of 1-to-1, Yang Pan still suppressed Tempest. Tempest shook his head. They had caught the battle opportunity but when Ya Tianan was blocked and had been instantly destroyed by Yang Pan, they had already lost half the battle. Tempest, 2 against 1, you have already lost and even without Wolf, you are not my match. Yang Pan looked coldly at the Wrath of Heaven which was still evading, and opened the public channel to shout out to him. Tempest's ability, if it were on the same level, it had an advantage when it came to commandeering and formations. In a one-on-one battle, Yang Pan was obviously more terrifying. Hong. Tempest's Wrath of Heaven was directly flung away. Just as he was about to crash into the wall, a huge hole opened in the wall. The Wolf Spirit mech was still happily howling when the Wrath of Heaven had landed from the sky. The Wolf Spirit mech immediately retaliated but fell badly because the mech had lost its balance. Obviously, Wolf was not Yang Pan. He had no preparation against blocking this type of pure ability X. The whole mech meeting the attack was like meeting death. Tempest obviously would not be shy and his beam saber fiercely attacked. After the 8th slash, the Wolf Spirit mech was destroyed, but there was a loud explosion in the sky and the Sirius mech had already lifted his super alloy greatsword and landed from the sky. He was invincible. Judgment. Hong Long Long. There was a huge explosion that shook the sky and earth. To be honest, everyone was originally not that interested in two failed teams. They even belittled these two people. But at this moment, the students from the various colleges who were watching were as quiet as scared little kindergarten children. Was this a battle between two weak teams? The Wrath of Heaven was thrown out. Tempest's reaction was fast but he was hit by the energy blast at the borders and his energy shield shattered. This was Yang Pan, a crazy warrior. his ability X was a fatal blow, Judgment. That gigantic huge impressive alloy greatsword was shining with an eye-piercing glow. The serious mech now was indeed as impressive as a wolf god arriving. Yang Pan was the previous king of one-on-one battles of the Elite Academy. Yang Pan dragged his greatsword and walked slowly towards Tempest. Actually Tempest was considered his junior. A very talented junior, but to fight him one-on-one, that would only spell death for him. Everyone realized that the victory of the Dark Wolves battle team was before their eyes. To be honest, Tempest had really tried his best. From battle tactics to individual ability, he had led the whole team excellently. Except that this Slauberg's ability was a little disgusting and this serious Yang Pan was indeed terrifying. But at this moment, a smile curled on Tempest's face. The earth vibrated and Yang Pan realized that something was wrong. His attack just now, in addition to the continuous battles, had already caused the surrounding buildings to be. And his position was a dead end. Tempest prepared this grave, he fell into his trap. Hong long long long, the surrounding skyscrapers instantly fell, a mushroom-shaped cloud rose. Finally, the Sirius was sucked into it and could not escape in time. This was the first draw ever since the competition started. Both teams lost all their members. The whole battle was filled with a pitiful aura. The Dark Wolves battle team and Star Leah battle team both had to fight for their country and own pride, no matter in the competition or future battles. Both the Dark Wolves battle team and Star Leah battle team earned 1 point each. Everyone was also discussing about it. Actually, the Dark Wolves battle team had a chance to win in this battle. This was the part where the serious citizens could not compare to arbiters. If it were Olivius, he definitely would not chat with his opponent. He would attack first before talking. Arbiters never look to feel superior from challenging failures. Martsu smiled. His voice was calm and relaxed, but it sent chills down the spines of surrounding students. When it came to the scary Asura battle team, this was the real team leader. Without having to enter the battle, other people already had no way of competing. Was the arbiters really strong to this point? Strong abilities, no errors, what was all this? This battle ended with a pitiful draw and also gave the others enough of a shock. It was originally thought that it would be a battle between two weaker teams, but the battle was so fierce. This could only mean that on this stage, only the super strong powerful people could stand without falling. Wang Zheng was sitting with Lin Weiyan. There were glances from the surroundings. Weiyan did not care. She liked to listen to Wang Zheng analyzing the competition for her. Brother Wang Zheng, which team do you think is better? Tempest's Star Leah battle team, Wang Zheng said. Well, it looked like a draw, but from the angle of battle tactics, Tempest was superior. This is a person who is very calm and has a very strong perspective of the bigger picture. In terms of individual battle power, Yang Pan was fiercer, but Wang Zheng preferred Tempest's performance. No matter whether the situation leaned towards or away from him, he was always very calm. The last ploy was also executed steadily. He did not use it until the last moment. Also, his arrangement was quite good. This was a person who took one step while looking 3 steps ahead. Compared to Tempest, Yang Pan was much easier to handle. His characteristics were very obvious, but so were his weaknesses. Listening to Wang Zheng's analysis, Weiyan, who was beside him, kept nodding her head. She looked like she was seriously learning. Wang Zheng looked at her and did not know whether to laugh or cry. Do you really know, or are you just pretending to know? Wang Zheng did not reject the idea of being Lin Weiyan's coach. At least he had a good name, and it prevented too much gossip. While he did not care, but he had to consider things in Weiyan's perspective. Luckily, his own performance was still not bad and he could take on this role. At least Hakadalin could not say anything. If he were to say something, he would have to wait until he defeated him first. The whole Greatest King competition looked peaceful. Everyone was just having friendly battles, but gratitude and grudges had already formed. Dynasty and Saruman Snake and Imperial Glory and Asura, etc. Sometimes, they had to get a clear ranking. But to say that Yang Pan was simpler, then he should have been holding back during the previous competition battle with the Imperial Glory battle team. He did not expose his ability too early. Actually, not one of them was easy to deal with. In such a competition, different people would have different thoughts. This ending was not too bad for both the Dark Wolves battle team and Star Leah battle team. At least both had earned 1 point. The more pitiful one was the Eagle battle team. They were now the only one with 2 continuous defeats. Lin Weiyan suddenly moved closer to Wang Zheng's ear. "Brother Wang Zheng, if someone pursues me, what do you think I should do?" Wang Zheng was stunned and smiled. "That's good, which handsome guy is it?" "Why don't you guess?" Lin Weiyan said. Wang Zheng was stunned. Where should he start guessing, but then thinking. Time really passed fast. Weiyan had already reached the age where she could start having relationships. Suddenly, it seemed like he had not heard about Aina for a very long time. What was she doing? Was she living well? At this moment, Wang Zheng was lost in his thoughts. "I don't know. Actually, I also don't know," Lin Weiyan said glumly. "The royal family arranged this. They sent a bunch of information to me." Wang Zheng was also speechless. Your royal family's old hag really has nothing better to do every day and can only keep thinking about these useless stuff. What era are we in already? On this matter, Wang Zheng was also a victim and was definitely very disgusted. Lin Weiyan on the other hand was very happy. She covered her mouth and laughed. "Old hag, brother Wang Zheng, you are so crude." Seeing the princess laugh so happily, the whole group of Aslanians was also helpless. In the end it was this Wang Zheng who had the ability to make the little princess laugh every time. This was something the others could not do. The most crucial part was that they were also not clear whether this Wang Zheng was naturally slow, or did he have some backing, to be able to chat with the princess so calmly. The only explanation was that he had no desires. In the arena, the battle between the Imperial Glory battle team and Ice Fire battle team were already starting. This was the last battle for the second round. The cooperation between Aslanians and Arbiters were widely discussed. What kind of grouping and what kind of battle team could defeat the Imperial Glory battle team head-on? At the moment, the conundrum known as the Imperial Glory was quite unsolvable. While I'm Heracle's supporter in life, but I think that the Ice Fire battle team actually has quite the chance. If the Sand Brothers' abilities were used well, it's most likely that they can create trouble for the Phantom King. It was still the commentator pair of Shui Yu and Ka Dao. After having been proven wrong for so many times, Shui Yu actually learned to be more cautious. The force field restricted the energy mirage. This was the regular rule, except by virtue of Atlantis' amazing ability, she still left some room for herself. Ka Dao laughed. "Let's wait and see. Both parties are preparing and the competitors are starting to enter the arena. The one to enter the system first is the Ice Fire battle team, the Saint Brothers, Kurter, Jian Zihao, Rolf. You can see that they are in very good shape. They did not lose their confidence because of the loss in the first round." At the other side, the Imperial Glory battle team have appeared as well. Jin Yaoer, wait a moment. I do not see the much anticipated Heracle. It looks like he has no intention of entering this time. What situation is this? Replacing him is. Ka Dao on his side quickly looked through the information and Shui Yu had already recognized the person. Anil, same as Lu Dai, is the bodyguard of Princess Lin Weiyan. Ka Dao's jaw dropped. Was this not fooling around? What was Hakatelin doing? There was a wave of discussion at the scene. The military colleges from other countries were having fierce discussions. The Ice Fire battle team lost to the Saruman Snake battle team previously, but their ability was not weak. The Imperial Glory battle team was a little too proud. The Imperial Glory battle team actually did not use their Atlantean and instead a woman to replace him. After Anil's basic situation was announced, discussions grew louder. A new student from the Huang grade, this was blatantly looking down on people. Hakatelin is looking down on the Ice Fire battle team? That might not be the case. It is to do with the influence of the Aslan royal family, I think. The princess's bodyguard. The royal family's power is too great. There will be some negative influences. That is true. When it comes to human-ruled countries, they are all like this. Relationship is more important than ability. Aslan is not the exception. I say, this type of system is regressive. It is only sooner or later that there will be a revolution in Aslan. It is just a competition. Why are you talking about all these useless things? No matter how you criticize, Aslan is after all the strongest country in the Milky Way alliance. This statement, the arbiters will be the first to rebut. In the debates and quarrels, some criticized while some supported. But no matter whether they supported Aslan or treated Aslan like enemy, the two groups of people had a similar understanding. It was not right to send Enil up. The Imperial Glory battle team entered the matching battle system. The whole team was very calm. Wang Zheng took one look at Lin Huiyan. Lin Huiyan returned him a bright smile. There was no doubt that she had heard all these debates, but you could not tell. Huiyan's mental state was very strong. She did not care at all about the outside world's comments. Why, do you think I should rebut? Huiyan said. Wang Zheng rubbed his nose. You are a little more mature than I thought. Brother Wang Zheng, it is not just a bit. I'm grown up already. After saying, she puffed out her chest. The Huiyan now was indeed like a flower bud waiting to bloom. Her whole body was emitting that allure of a girl changing from cute to beautiful. This was the most precious moment for a girl. Wang Zheng shook his head. Only children would keep emphasizing that they had grown up. The Imperial Glory was a strong opponent. He really needed to seriously pay attention. Hakatelan did not seem to be a rash and reckless person. Actually, at this position, if one said that he was brainless and prideful, that was impossible. This Enil would likely have a few moves. The two battle teams very quickly completed their preparation and entered into the last stage of pre-battle preparation. Imperial Glory Battle Team vs Icefire Battle Team. Imperial Glory Battle Team. Scout. Jin Yaoer, Stinger Type M, Heavy Armor. Jiyu Donglang, Heracle Guard. Free Fighter. Hakatelan, Void Shadow God, Free Fighter. Enil, Void Shadow God. Sniper. Lu Dai, Sentinel Type 5. You had to say, Enil is a newcomer. She actually dared to use the Void Shadow God and played the position of a free fighter together with Hakatelan. This was also a bit too much. The freedom the Imperial Glory battle team displayed was too high. Icefire Battle Team. Heavy Armor Warrior, Saint Tony, Atlas. Heavy Armor Warrior, Saint Karl, Atlas. Attack Warrior, Kurter, Slayer. Free Warrior, Jian Zihao, Berserker X. Sniper, Rolf, Icy Arrow. The Icefire battle team's formation was the same as the previous battle. Obviously, they were still very satisfied with this set of formation. Upon entering, the Icefire battle team quickly gathered together. Their formation was not suitable for the members to be dispersed. As for the Imperial Glory battle team, they did not care. A 5-to-5 face-off, the formation were pulled apart. Their snipers practically opened fire at the same moment. At this moment, they were trying to deplete the other party's energy shield as much as possible. If their level was high enough and could suppress their opponent with long-range firepower, that would be better. But at the moment, that was basically very difficult to achieve during battles. The mecha used were all of a high standard and had excellent functions. Especially for this group of people, it was as difficult as reaching the skies to want to win purely through long-ranged shooting. During a 5-on-5 head-on team battle, one's formation was definitely one of the most important considerations. It was not sufficient to just arrange a mech's position. Instead, they needed to move constantly. In moving, they had to make reasonable changes to their positions, to let the offensive-type mecha avoid the enemy's firepower, and to let the heavy armor reasonably block the other party's route of advance. Formations alone could take up the size of a big book, a special book of arts. It could be even more complicated and abstract. It was no wonder that the Icefire battle team was unwilling to change their formation. The Saint Brothers' 2 Atlas mecha were like a giant shield that held up the sky. They perfectly protected the perfect formation. The advanced situation of the Icefire battle team was slightly better than the Imperial Glory battle team. Lu Dai's sniping is not bad, but to be honest, she is slightly worse than Rolf. Everyone knows that snipers have to predict the situation and it is actually difficult to attack the opponent. However, Rolf is slowly suppressing Lu Dai. Ka Dao rubbed his chin and continued talking. I always thought that the sniper position in the Imperial Glory battle team is a hidden threat. Shui Yu blinked. Ka Dao, when you say that, are you doubting the person chosen by leader Hakatelan or hinting something else entirely? Think carefully before speaking. I'm just commenting on the truth. At least until now Lu Dai and Enil have not shown an ability high enough to convince me. I don't want to discuss factors outside the competition. Ka Dao was a strict battle tactics department student. As for this, Latu, who was beside him, also nodded. It was the Imperial Glory battle team's freedom on how they wanted to choose, but how to comment was their business. Wang Zheng looked at Lin Weiyan. Weiyan, on the other hand, returned a sweet smile. Wang Zheng could not bear to watch anymore. This girl's temper was a little too good. The temper of the Aslan royal family was really good, yet it did not seem that there was nothing going on. On the battleground, the two teams were testing each other and had some clashes. After that, the Imperial Glory battle team pulled apart their formation. Jin Yu's Wasp Stinger Type M suddenly sped up, making use of the speed to surround the Ice Fire battle team, which did not have a scout to counter him and created an all-round pestering. It is right to make use of the scout, but this is so enraging. The two Atlas mecha of the Saint brothers are practically like a wall of desperation. There is totally no chance to show weakness. Ka Dao shook his head. What kind of fight was Aslan putting up? They totally did not have the suppression from the first round. The idea to make use of the fact that the other party lacked a scout was good, but you also had to look at the other party's mecha combination and ability. The Ice Fire battle team's formation retracted very well. They did not give their opponent any chances at all. This formation is very tight and cautious. If the Void Shadow Gods dare to advance, it would definitely meet firm resistance. The Ice Fire battle team is very good in using a passive approach to defend against the opponents. It looks like they have practiced a lot with this set of formation. Shui Yu said, but I think that the Imperial Glory battle team should have some preparation for this. Their strongest member is from Atlantis, the other people's levels are also only average. Oh, Hakadalin might be a little stronger in individual ability. In team battles, he might not be that much stronger. There is still a chance. The competition has just started. Why are you so anxious? No matter how strong one is, a person would need a little time to adjust. There were quite a lot of true Aslan fans in the audience who were defending Anil. At this moment, the Ice Fire battle team suddenly started to move as a group. The Saint brothers' Atlas mecha protected them from the left and right. They brought the team towards the Imperial Glory battle team and initiated a round of team attacks. This round is not a test, but an actual total head-on attack. This will be very crucial. This is a clash that determines who gains the upper hand. How will the Imperial Glory battle team react? Ka Dao shouted. With his keen sense, he detected the determination of the Ice Fire battle team in this round of attacks. Astinians were usually preferred offense. Shui Yu also nodded. Their intention is very obvious. The Imperial Glory battle team should be this. The Imperial Glory battle team obviously do not intend to retreat and face the attack head-on. But why did Anil rush in alone? She is not a heavy tank mech. They were also not sure if it was a mistake in coordination. Anil used a single warp but realized that the others did not catch up. And the Saint brothers would definitely not let go of such an opportunity. Since she was here, then she better not think of leaving. The Void Shadow God wanted to leave, but its movements were immediately locked down by the sniper. The Saint brothers rushed over with full power and totally ignored the laser shots that landed upon them. This was what it meant to be use a heavy mech. Ka Dao also quickly spoke to Shui Yu. Aslan is too proud. This time, they will have to pay for their pride. The Saint brothers, these two did not let go of the chance and have started their attack. The brothers are working together now. They have redirected their force field and they are using it to pull the Void Shadow God towards them. It's forced control. Oh my god. Anil's ability to respond to changes is really horrible. The Void Shadow God's second warp was actually made in the wrong direction and blocked by the wall. She's doomed. Ka Dao was so angry that he stomped his feet. As a commenter, he had no right to be biased, but he was looking forward to a fantastic showdown. Anil was obviously not fantastic. She could not even compare to a rookie. Facing the Saint brothers changing control of the force field, she actually made this kind of mistake. While the Saint brothers' abilities were strong, but their position was still slightly too far. They only surrounded Anil and the others followed. Because there were two heavy armor mecha blocking in front, if the Imperial Glory battle team directly faced the attack at this moment, the ending waiting for them would definitely not be a good one. At the other side, Olivius turned around and left the scene with a cold gaze. You are not watching anymore. Victory and loss is already set, there's nothing to watch. What, even though Anil is done for, based on the Imperial Glory battle team's ability, there should still be a chance for them in a 4 against 5 situation, right? Did I say that the Ice-Fire battle team would win? Olivia's icy gaze was a little piercing. Almost no one noticed, some ice appeared on the ground beneath the feet of Anil's Void Shadow God. The Saint brothers' redirection of the force field totally controlled Anil. At this moment, Saint Tony and Saint Carl looked at each other. The two brothers switched their positions suddenly and the magnetic poles swapped. The force field doubled. Hong, the two brothers again formed a pincer attack and were going to destroy Anil. Just at this moment, Anil's Void Shadow God used a third warp and very accurately instantaneously traveled through the moment the suppressed force field was created. But, she seemed to have rushed into the Ice-Fire battle team. Was she trying to die? Instantly, everyone's weapons pointed towards Anil's Void Shadow God. The third warp was already used. This mech was already useless. Extreme freezing. Anil's lips moved lightly and a confident smile spread on her face. Hong 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 hong. Instantly, a streak of icy cold white light exploded outwards. All sorts of contempt, all sorts of teasing were also frozen instantly. There was no doubt this was of a B rank ability X. The most important was that the quality and purity of ice attribute ability X was most probably not worse than Snowly. It was just the performance style was different. Snowly's possessed no direct damage capabilities, and Anil's was explosive. Instantly, she controlled the entire opponent team and situation. And this exceeded everyone's expectations. There was practically no preparation for this. Only Jian Zihao of the Ice-Fire battle team reacted. To be more accurate, he reacted fast enough and instantly went wild, releasing himself from captivity. He wanted to save the whole team, but Jian Zihao did not have the chance. This was the Imperial Glory battle team. Ho Cataline's Void Shadow God appeared out of nowhere in front of Jian Zihao. All he needed to do was just to block Jian Zihao and it would be enough. You should know that the Aslanians were strongest not in individual battle but team battles. Not one country could compare to Aslan in their emphasis on teamwork. At the Ice-Fire battle team's side, Rolf's icy arrow was shaking. He came from the Hail Cloud Alliance and was no doubt the most experienced in withstanding ice attribute ability X, and as the sniper, his mech's position was slightly further away. But there was still Lu Dai. The Sentinel Type 5's heavy sniper rifle was emitting a dim orange-red light. Her ability X, turning around and aiming properly, used a bit of time. That was because her ability X was still in preparation. Lu Dai's eyes narrowed. The first shot. The Sentinel Type 5 suddenly shook. The whole mech recoiled together with this round of heavy sniping.